Welcome back. This is beginning guitar day 2, so it should be Friday, I think. And what we need to do is spend 5 minutes talking about what we did the first time, which is tuning the guitar. So first, grab your guitar. Again, whether that's an acoustic guitar like this one, or an electric guitar, or a classical style, as long as it has those 6 strings and it vaguely resembles this, you're good to go. Now, you need 2 things. You need the guitar, well, 3 things. 3 things. Your guitar, your enthusiasm in your brain, and maybe a phone or a tuning fork or some other device that will help you tune your guitar. So take your smartphone and pull open that application called Guitar Tuna, right? Make sure you've got that. And once it's loaded up, put it on your thigh so that the microphone of your phone actually points to the sound hole. And just with your right thumb, start hitting those strings. So the top one, if you remember, is the E string. E gads. Second one down is A. And again, your left hand is going to reach over to these tuners here, these little metal pieces, and you're just going to turn them clockwise or counterclockwise, depending on your guitar, and tighten it or loosen it until you get that center line on the tuning machine, that app, until it's lined up on the app, okay? If you have a keyboard or a piano at home, you can also do it that way just by playing the note, but we'll get to that. Next one is D, so this is the D string. Then the 4th one down is G. Then the second to last is B. And the final one is E again. All right, so that's in tune. That's first step for you. Got to make sure you're in tune, okay? You never want to go to a band practice and people have to listen to you be out of tune the whole time, and you should be able to hear that it's out of tune because something doesn't sound right. That sounds pretty good to me, so we're good to go. Now, we need to review what the string names are. If you just tuned the guitar with me, you know what they are. If you were already in tune but you weren't paying attention, now's your chance. So again, there's a mnemonic, not a demonic device, a mnemonic device for remembering this. Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye, Eddie. Right? E-A-D-G-B-E. And as you do this, as you tune the guitar and as you get familiar with this instrument, you won't think about this anymore. Trust me, at this point, I think about it, I don't know. It doesn't require much effort, okay? Just know what those string names are. Give yourself time, okay? So that's step 1 before we get started. Now, the last thing I need you to do is go into your browser. So go onto your phone or onto your computer screen. Go into your browser on the internet, and I want you to search for virtual piano keyboard. Okay, so virtual piano keyboard. Either type that into your smartphone or whatever device you use, tablet, or type it into your computer, so your desktop or your laptop, right? And one that works okay is virtualpiano.net. It's not my favorite. But what I really want you to be able to do is see the keyboard for yourself at home, because you might be wondering, why in the world do I need to study the piano for guitar class? Well, because this guitar has no lettering on it, it has no indicators, it has nothing to tell you what the notes are, I can't possibly expect you to just memorize where the sharps and flats are. I know where they are, just from experience, just from doing it a lot. But you are not expected to know that. So one of the helpful tools is the piano. If you have one at home, good for you. If you don't, you're going to need one of these virtual pianos, okay? And don't worry, it doesn't involve much more than pulling it up and having it in front of you, okay? Now, what you can also do, if you don't want a playable app in your browser, on your smartphone, on your laptop, or on the computer, is you can pull up an image of this virtual piano keyboard. So it might look like this, okay? So as long as you see that it has the black and white notes like what you'd see on a keyboard, on a piano, this particular URL is gnoted.com, but you can find, by searching in the browser, virtual piano keyboard or online keyboard. And as long as you have that image of the piano, we can work on the next segment, okay? So pull up that information, get it ready, have it in front of you. Now, I always draw this in my class, but because we're online, I need you to have one for yourself at home. I can't show it behind me, so just draw it if you need to. You can take your pen, and if you're confident, you can copy it down and just have it in front of you so that you can reference it and see, oh, that's the note that I'm talking about. Okay, so get that piano in front of you or get that image of the keyboard in front of you, and then we can proceed to the next segment. So take 5, get in tune, and get that image ready to go. Okay, moving right along, we're into the second part, which is how to play the chromatic scale. You did this last time, and I actually listed out the notes, but I didn't expect any of you to know what those notes were. Now, I think with this keyboard in front of you, you should be able to see, oh, those are the notes on the keyboard, but I'm playing them on my guitar. And the reason, again, that I want you to do this with me, this chromatic scale on the guitar, is I want you not only to get used to your left hand position and get that form correct, but also to get the right thumb plucking away with firmness and good force. And lastly, I want to, as time goes on, build your confidence with the note understanding on this instrument. So I can't expect you to know right away that that's F sharp. I can't expect you to know that that's A, or that's C, or that's E. I would not expect that speed. But you need to, at some point in your career, be able and be confident enough to do that, to just say, I know that this is B, right? And that is going to open up a lot of doors for you. So let's get started. Just focusing on this top string here, right? That string is called E. So if you look at your picture of the piano, find the alphabet letter E, all right? So find it there. Zoom in really deep if you need to, or zoom in really far on your phone if you have to, or your tablet, or get it up on your browser in front of you, okay? And just look at where that E note is in that keyboard arrangement. So when we play the open E string, this one up top, we're playing that exact same key on the keyboard, that exact same note, okay? What you notice about that is that there's nothing between E and F, is there? If you look at that picture, there is nothing between E and F. There is no such thing as an E sharp. And I want you to remember that forever. There is no such thing as an E sharp. Well, for now. Seriously, don't overthink it. There is no E sharp for now, all right? So that means that if we take our index finger in our left hand and we put it down, remember, focusing on the tip here, we put the tip of the index finger down on that string, on the top string, on that first fret position. So right before this first metal bar, right, that's on your guitar. So that's where your index goes, right on top of the string. From the side, right? Okay? And that's F. Now we're going to continue, but we're going to keep our index finger down. We're going to put our middle finger down on the second fret, the exact same string. Now we're playing F sharp. So look at that paper, or look at that image of the piano keyboard, and you should see, okay, I just played E, then I played the next note up, which was F. Then, again, if I double check that reference, my middle finger on the guitar is going to play that black note, that black key right above F, and that's called F sharp. So when we're going up like that, we call it a sharp, all right? Now if we use our ring finger here, so this ring finger is playing G, because that's the next note on the keyboard. And as I use my pinky on the 4th fret, that's G sharp, because G also has that little black key above it. Okay, and now just take this moment to look at your hand and make sure that it's kind of like spider legs. It's really spread out. You're doing a lot of finger yoga, and you're really getting each finger engaged on the string. If you look at the back side, your thumb should always, if possible, be on the center point of the neck. So that means that that knuckle of your thumb is really pushing against the middle of the neck, okay? So now that you've reached G sharp, we need to keep going. So we're going to climb up by sliding with the index just like last time, okay? We're going to slide up to the 5th fret, still using the fingertip, okay? So still focusing on that fingertip. And we're just striking that note. Again, only using our right thumb on that top E string. But this next note in the sequence is A. So make sure that you're following along on that piano keyboard. And so now if you put your middle finger down on the next fret here, so that's the 6th fret, that's one key above the A note, which should be, and I'll let you fill in that blank. What is that note? What's right above the A on that keyboard? The next possible space. It's an A sharp, right? Okay, and then we use our ring finger on that 7th fret. That's B. And then we use our pinky. And this is curious because B has no key above it. It has no sharp. So it's the second one that has no sharp. And that's it. The E and the B, they don't have a sharp. Every other note, every other alphabet letter in this keyboard has a sharp, okay? So now we're playing C. Again, that's as many as we can hold in our left hand. So we're going to slide up with our index to the next possible note, and that's C sharp, okay? If you need to, reference that image. Middle finger will play the next note, which is D. Ring finger will play D sharp, and finally the pinky will play E again on the 12th fret of that topmost string, okay? So that's it for one string. What I'd like you to do is go up for every single string. So E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E. Now I can do that fast. I want you to go slowly. Give yourselves a few minutes to go string by string and just work with that keyboard image and figure out when the sharps happen and when they don't. You don't have to memorize it, but just climb your way up slowly and steadily until you understand when those sharps happen. Okay, so again, A, sharp, B. I know that B doesn't have a sharp according to the keyboard. And if I have to double check, I can, that's okay. So I double check, okay, B has no sharp, so the next note has to be C. And then my pinky comes down and that's C sharp. And I slide, continue on D, and so on and so forth. You can do this for every single string, okay? So get to it. See you in 5 minutes. Okay, we're on to the next segment, and I have made a camera adjustment so that you can focus on my right hand because that's what we're going to talk about now. So, while you're doing this exercise, you have some options. When you do the chromatic scale or any kind of playing of the guitar, you can do these things. You can strike with your thumb only, and I'm, I guess, notorious or guilty, depending on who you ask, of using my thumbnail, okay? So I can play with my thumbnail, and I can play relatively quickly. But that's not always what you need to do. So maybe, instead of using only your thumb, you'll get your index finger involved. And so now, I'm going to teach you a technique. And all you need to do is create kind of like a bird's beak using your index finger and your thumb, and just bring it until the fingernails, the thumb and index fingernails, are very close together and the tips are very close together. But gently hold those two fingers together. So you don't want to be death gripping. Just gently hold them in this position. And now, if you take your palm, so the base of your right palm, this bone here, this big bone here on the rightmost side of your right hand, if you're looking from the top, you can plant that on the bridge. So that's this part of the guitar, right? So you plant this bone here, just like that. And now you have an anchor. And with that anchor, you can start to play using this index fingernail. But it's connected to your thumb. So your thumb is still helping hold that position. You're not just flicking with your index, you're also using your thumb together to strike the string. So practice this technique. And as we talked about last time, you can also use a pick, which is very similar to using just your index. It's just that you have more of a firm piece of material striking the string. And that allows more volume. But the the same rule applies when using your position. So you want to get your palm and that bone of your palm down on the bridge or on the saddle so that when you strike the string, it's right over the sound hole. Side. And as you pluck, or as you strike the string, your hand doesn't move that much. It's more of a rotation in your wrist. Okay, moving right along, you have the pick and you can go down up. You have your index finger attached to your thumb in the bird's beak. And that you can go down up as well. You have your thumb alone. But there's one more we talked about last time, which is the piccato style. This is with your index and your middle fingers. For those of you who want to learn flamenco or Spanish style classical guitar, you're going to need to know piccato. Okay? And that's where you use these and you walk on the strings. So again, on this topmost string it's somewhat difficult because you have no anchor with your thumb. But let's just skip that E string for now and plant with our thumb. So I'm taking the side of my thumb and resting it on the top of that string, and I'm allowing my hands, my fingers, to drape straight down over the sound hole. I'm going to put my index and my middle finger both on the bottommost string, okay? So on that bottom string. And I'm just going to practice playing one at a time by plucking that string. So if I play for you, you can walk like that, where you're kind of pressing against the string. You can also claw it, so pulling from the bottom. This is really a matter of preference, so however you prefer to play is fine. But what I want you to do is get comfortable with one or more of them so that you can play this chromatic scale using several options. If I used my pick for that E string, it would sound like this. Practice doing that chromatic scale on your 6 strings using any one or more if you're confident of those techniques. And I'll see you in 5. Alright, it's time for the fun stuff. So we're going to get into strumming patterns. And for this, we're going to take our left hand and we're going to drape them across all 6 strings so that we don't hear any of the string sounds, so none of the humming tones, when we strum with the right hand. So basically, let me show you, if I can get rolling over here. So let me show you, if I hold gently against my strings with the left hand, and my right hand, I'm just strumming all 6 with my index fingernail, okay? I'm using that bird's beak thing that I taught you in the last segment, right? Now if you don't want to do that, you can use your thumb, or you can use the pick. But we're going to talk about strumming patterns and rhythm. And the reason we're going to talk about strumming patterns is because that's where rhythm guitar comes in, right? You need to be able to strum some chords. Okay? Now before you can get playing, you got to know, how do I strum? What's the mechanics? So the right hand is holding the pick, right? And we talked about how to hold the pick. The apex of the pick is pointing parallel to your index finger, and your thumb is on the opposite side of it. And you're pointing the pick down when you play. I guess technically the pick is pointing toward the guitar, right? Now, get comfortable with your left hand doing nothing except draping across the strings to mute the sound. And just get comfortable rotating your wrist. Your arm shouldn't move all that much. Your forearm shouldn't move much. If you find yourself going, it's probably wrong, right? So, and try to feather the strings. So the thing about guitar is that the left hand, for the most part, is a pretty rigid and strong-handed part of the system. Your right hand is more relaxed, and it should be relaxed. So when you strum, you're just feathering across all 6 strings in one smooth motion. So now practice going up as well. So you go down and you come up. Now when you come up, you're just hitting the top of the pick. And in this case, my arm actually does move a lot more, right? It doesn't have to, but it does, okay? And so what we're going to do now is we're going to go, instead of looking at our piano, we're going to switch gears and look at a metronome. So if you don't have your Metronome app downloaded, or if you don't have some kind of metronome, type in metronome. So M-E-T-R-O-N-O-M-O-E. Sorry, N-O-M-E. So M-E-T-R-O-N-O-M-E. Metronome. And then the word beats, maybe. So for that, you're going to get this app that has this main page. And you can set a speed. I would like you to set that speed to something extremely slow, like painfully slow. Okay, maybe that's too painful. Jeez Louise. Let's go to 50. So set your metronome to 50 beats per minute. All right, 50, 5-0. Okay, or you can listen along to this if you can hear it. Okay, and you're going to drape your fingers, your left hand, across the 6 strings, and your right hand is going to strike down against all 6 in time. And try not to make any noise, right? So we hear the sound of the pick or your finger striking the strings, but we don't want to hear the tone. We don't want to hear that. And if you're rushing, that means you're going too fast. So get your body into it too. Use your head, maybe a nod. Maybe get your foot tapping. And just feel it. Then to challenge yourself, try going up. And that's it. So practice that at 50 beats per minute, just doing a simple down, up, as much as you can within comfort range, okay? And I'll see you in 5. All right, so I actually want to continue with the strumming pattern, and I want to show you 4 different basic strumming patterns you can use. They are down, 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 up, down, up, down, up, up, and down, down, up. You might be thinking, what are those? Some kind of like cheat codes you put into your PlayStation controller? Nay. So take your hand again and mute those 6 strings by draping them across. And the same thing as before, except now I'm going to count off for you. So for 1 minute, we're going to go all downstrokes. For 1 whole minute, all downstrokes. Then after that, we're going to go into a different strumming pattern. Pay attention. Here we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Try to relax so that you can just hit in one motion on the beat without dragging on the strings, meaning halfway there. If you catch yourself rushing, going too fast, take a deep breath and relax the right hand. Most people go fast. 5 seconds. And stop, okay? Now we're going to change patterns. We're going to go down, up, okay? So for 4 beats, right, we're going down, up, down, up. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Down, up, down, up. Many students struggle with this in the beginning. That's totally fine. Just relax. Nice. Okay, let's stop there. So that's down, up, down, up. Now we're going to change a little bit and we're going to play in a different time signature. So for this, we're going to start playing in what we call 3/4 time, which is where there are only 3 beats per measurement or per measure. So that means we're going to go down, up, up. Again, we're going to go down, up, up. So for that second time coming on an up strum, we need to skip over the strings and pull them up. So again, watch. Down, up, up. Now you don't have to do that exaggerated ellipse. Ellipse? Ellipse, yeah. Instead, you can just go right across, so down, up, like that. All right? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Down, up, up, down. All right, that's enough for that one. The very last one will be the opposite kind, so it will be down, down, up. Okay, let's try. 2, 3, so down, down, up, down, down, up. And you can do this on your own for about 5 minutes and come right back, and we'll get into the next part. Okay, welcome back. This is the very last part of today's class. And for this, I would like to teach you your first chord, or at least the first chord in this class. And for that, I will try to get my left hand close to the camera lens so that we can do this nice, up close and personal. All right. So, this is going to be the E chord. So just like that top string, which is an E note, we're going to create a chord. Now a chord is something that you trip on when you don't have a tidy computer space. But really a chord is when you have 2 or more notes, typically 3. So dragläser, 3 notes, okay? In this case, and you don't have to focus on this, but just for your curiosity, we're going to take the 3 notes E, G sharp, and B. You might remember that E is that top string, but you might also remember that G sharp was this note right here. So E and G sharp. And you might also remember that second string has a B right here. So we would play with our middle finger if we were doing the chromatic scale, right? So this one right here. So we have E, G sharp, and B. Those are the 3 notes that we're going to play in this chord. All right? But we're not just going to go. That's not really what we want to do. Even though I think that's a famous Johnny Cash song. Or sorry, no, that's a Pretty Woman, right? There's another note in there. But anyway, we want to play all of the notes at the same time. So in order to do that, we need to get all of our fingers involved, or at least 3 of them. All right, so 3 fingers for 3 notes. And this is the position, okay? At least this is one of the ways to play the E major chord. So I'm going to read off some numbers to you. And for the rest of the course, when I read off the numbers this way, this is how you should interpret them. When I say the first number, it refers to which fret this top string is going to be held on. So for example, if I say 0 or if I say nothing, then the top string is open. And if I say 2 after that, so if I say 0, 2, what that means is this second fret position on the A string needs to be depressed. You need to push down on it. So 0, 2. Then the next one down I'm also holding. So that D string I'm holding right there. So I would describe it to you as 0, 2, 2, and the next string is being held on that first fret position by my index finger right there. So I would describe it as 0, 2, 2, 1. And the last 2 strings I'm not holding. So my pinky is doing nothing. There's nothing happening there. So they're open. And again, double check your form. Make sure that your thumb is pressed against the middle of the neck, okay? Your elbow is kind of tucked in. And you're giving yourself space between your fingers so that you can even fit your finger underneath, right? So if there's a cave in there, then you're good to go. You're in business, okay? If not, don't fret. Just give yourself time. And remember, the more underneath the guitar you are, the better. If you're up here and up tight, if your shoulder is up in its socket, it's really difficult to play. So bring that wrist up in front. So again, if you need to, write it down on a piece of paper. So take your pen and write down on the paper 0 on the bottom and working upwards. So ascending, on top of the 0, you'll write 2, then another 2 on top of that one, then a 1, then a 0, then a 0. So it looks like... Is that too bright? That might be too bright to see. I think it is. I don't think it's going to adjust for you. So write vertically, going upwards, 0, 2, 2, 1, 0, 0. Okay? And now my finger positions are middle finger goes on the A string, ring finger goes on the D string, so the one right below, and then my index finger goes on the G string right below that one. Okay? And when you strum it out, it should sound like that, and the notes should ring. If the notes are not ringing for a long time, you're not pressing hard enough with your fingertips. So don't focus on death gripping the neck and trying to squeeze your whole finger down. Most people don't know that they can't get away with squeezing their whole finger down. You need to squeeze just from the tip. So pushing down directly onto the fingertips, okay? And as long as you're efficient and you're deadly and you're focusing on the fingertips, it will sound glorious. All right, so that concludes today's class. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in a comment and I will try to address them. All right, good luck out there, and after your fingers hurt, massage them, be good to them, but don't forget to clip your fingernails, at least in your left hand. All right, good luck out there, class. See you in the next one.